Good afternoon. Welcome to the Monday morning show on a Tuesday evening. Ryan G. Hensley, Grant L. Cohn. Niners had their first day of training camp, but it wasn't really a day. They had a couple interviews and a conditioning test. I wonder if someone injured themselves during that. I feel like someone does every year. Not trying to. Anyway, we'll find out. But we're going to be talking about interviews today. Brock Purdy, Trey Lance. But first, Kyle Shanahan did like a bonus interview for Tim Kawakami and The Athletic today. And in it, he was like much more revealing about this whole quarterback conundrum than he's been in a while. Ryan, you heard it. Why don't you tell the good people what Kyle said?
That was the most clarifying interview I've heard Kyle Shanahan do in regards to the quarterback situation. I mean, he clarified a lot. If you guys haven't seen it after Grant and I are done here, make sure you check it out. I posted on my Twitter. It's a link to Tim Kawakami's podcast. So many things. So first, he clarified something that a lot of people were speculating on during the offseason, which was, why did they bring Sam Darnold in? According to Kyle Shanahan, he brought Sam Darnold in because he didn't know when Brock Purdy would be back at the time. Mm-hmm. He said at the time it was unknown when Brock Purdy was going to be back, and it was free agency. So it was his opportunity. He didn't know when Brock was going to be back. So he signed Sam Darnold. It wasn't a knock on Trey Lance. It was Trey Lance is coming back off surgery. We have no idea when Brock's coming back. We need a quarterback. He went and signed Sam Darnold. So that was big, right? No, there's been a lot of speculation on why that happened. We got clarification today with that. So that was big. The other thing that he said that was very interesting was, I still don't know the right answer is. He said, I still don't know what the right answer is in regards to his choice to just push Brock over Trey Lance as far as QB1 right now. But
why won't he say that in a group interview? Why does he only say that to Tim? You don't? What? Because
right.
The way you make it seem, or people in your organization, is that Brock's the leader, Brock's the guy, Brock.
Yeah.
Brock. But no, you don't know the right. Okay, great. Good to know.
Remember the what is it? The bunny rabbit that gobbles like a chicken for the Easter commercial?
Yeah. Yes. Was that on was that on Easter?
I think it's the Easter, right? Wasn't
Easter.
It? It's the Easter thing. Yeah, for the eggs, like the chocolate eggs.
The chocolate egg. Cadbury
bunny.
Cadbury, which makes phenomenal chocolate, by the way. Shout out to Cadbury. Okay. So he doesn't know the right answer. He was worried about Brock. This is very interesting. To me, okay, go on.
Yeah, so basically what it's boiling down to is, he's all in on, he talked about Jimmy, he talked about everything, but he was all in on Trey. They still believe in Trey. There's also a narrative that they soured on Trey Lance. After you listen to this interview, that's not the case. Where I've been taking my stances on like what's going on despite like national narratives is I just use logic, what makes the most sense. And to me, what made the most sense was Trey got hurt, Brock Purdy took over, and he played well. So therefore, because he played well in games, he's the week one guy as of right now. That's the status. Yeah. That always made the most sense to me, and that's exactly what Kyle said.
But then he got hurt, and that like added a layer of complication. And when they were at free agency, had he had his surgery yet or what when they signed?
I don't know, but what I know is that at that time, it was still a question mark of when he was going to return. Right. They said 6 months. There was a 1 month delay before his surgery. So there was still a concern, like, is he going to be back in time? He didn't know. And because of that, that's why he went out and got Sam Darnold. Now, this is all according to Kyle Shanahan's words. It's not me making it up. These aren't my opinions. This is what Kyle Shanahan just got done saying. Another thing he also said, unless you want to go. You want to go on this?
Just real quick with the Sam Darnold thing, I feel like one thing that he's just not consistent about is – so he's making it seem like, look, we brought in Darnold because we didn't know about Brock and we needed another backup quarterback. Yeah. All right, so why is Trey competing with Darnold then? Like, you never really explained that. Do you like Darnold that much? Why?
I think it has to do with the fact that he probably had to tell Sam Darnold he's going to get that opportunity if he comes here.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Hey, if you want me to come here, you got to give me some reps. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, you got to have an opportunity. And, so he's going to give him that opportunity. He still talks more favorably about Trey Lance when he actually talks than I hear him talk about Sam. Like sometimes he'll just talk about Brock and Trey. And then every now and then he'll mention Brock, Trey, and Sam. So I really think in Kyle's head, Trey is over Sam right now. We'll see. But he's going to give Sam and Trey both an opportunity to compete for at least that number 2 spot. Now, obviously, I've always felt that Brock Purdy deserves to be your week 1 starter based on how he played. But if he comes out and looks like absolute doo-doo or something, and Trey and Sam are balling, I mean, that could still change as well. But the other thing that he said that I thought was something new, he said three other teams would have drafted Trey Lance because they were talking about why they moved up. He said the other teams would have drafted Trey Lance if they didn't move up from 12, and I'm assuming that's probably your Falcons, Colts, and Panthers.
Could be.
Probably. Yeah.
Could be.
So, I mean, that interview was super, super revealing. And everyone after the show, they should go check it out.
Yeah. One more thought. Kind of sounds like Kyle signed Darnold to put pressure on Brock. I don't know. It just feels like the Niners are kind of communicating to Brock without maybe saying, like, look, we love you, buddy, and we want you to be our starting quarterback, but you better show all the urgency in the world to come back as soon as freaking possible. Because if you don't, if you try to make a business decision, you try to say, I'm not quite ready, we will go with someone else. And if that guy has a hot month, we will forget about you. So what do you want to do? And we saw today, he wants to play. He's back. So I think he may have gotten the message. I think there was a little bit of a message getting sent.
Well, whether there's a message on purpose or not to Brock, I'm sure that's how Brock feels, right? Brock's got to feel, hey, freaking Trey Lance is here, Sam Darnold, like, I got to get back out there or I could lose my spot.
Also, like, am I that good, or was I just the dude on playing quarterback for this team down the stretch with Christian McCaffrey and Kittle and Deebo and Ayuk? And, like, do you really want to see what Trey Lance looks like with that team? Because he hasn't played with that team yet. Do you really want to see what Darnold looks like with that team? Because he hasn't played with that team yet. Like, are you really that much better than them? Or, you know what I mean? So have you just been playing? Like, you might want to stay on the field so people don't find out the answer to that question.
It's true. And I also, something else he mentioned was how necessary it is to have 3 quarterbacks now. And the fact that you can suit up 3 quarterbacks and how they have spotters, like, right? If a quarterback gets hit in the head at all, they're out. So he really reiterated how important it is to have 3 quarterbacks. Kyle Shanahan wants to have a good quarterback out there. I don't think he really cares about whether it's – I think he's fine with any of these quarterbacks. But Brock has earned it based on his play in the game.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Anything else you learned from this interview?
There was a lot of stuff. Oh, Josh Johnson was already banged up before he took the field against the Eagles. Thought that was news.
Wow.
Never heard about that.
So Kyle just gave himself another excuse. I'm sorry. I like Kyle. I'm so snarky.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Also, Brandon.
What was it?
Also, Brandon. He didn't say. But also,
he talks about how much he likes Brandon Allen.
He likes Brandon Allen, right? So he says there's 3 spots. They're not going to keep 4, but there's 4 guys that he needs to figure out how to get reps for. So it's going to be interesting, man. Sam Darnold, I think, honestly, it's kind of between Sam Darnold and Brandon Allen is the real competition, in my opinion. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's Trey Lance. But I think that's the real competition that you got to look for that QB3 spot.
Boy, that's sexy. Okay, Joseph says, what's more likely after today, Trey or Brock as comeback player of the year? Who has the easiest route considering Brock's 8 games and Trey's half experience of that? Well, one of these two would have to stay healthy all year to win that award.
Yeah. And this isn't really a topic, but it relates to what Joseph here is asking, is that whoever, I've been saying it for months, whoever starts week 1 might be the loser in this thing.
Yeah.
Even according to Kyle Shanahan, there's a good chance they're going to need to play at least 2, maybe 3 quarterbacks this year. And so whoever's playing at the end of the season, when they enter the postseason, that's the real winner out of this competition. So hopefully whoever plays quarterback can start and finish the entire season, including the playoffs. But, I mean, based on history, not very likely. I wouldn't bet money on that. Yeah. Right. So to answer Joseph's question, whoever's playing at the end of the season. Yeah.
Double B Studio says, what's up, dogs?
What's up?
Nothing. I work today. What's up? Okay, next one. Do you think the Niners are rushing Brock Purdy back? I mean, it went from He got a second opinion. He delayed the surgery. They said if all things go well, he could be back a few weeks before week 1, but there's also a scenario where he misses multiple weeks. I thought he might start the regular season on the PUP list. I thought for sure he would start training camp on the PUP list, and they say, nope, fully cleared today, and he's going to basically do 2 days on, 2 days off, all off season. Never throw more than 2 days in a row. The implication is that he's not fully recovered yet, but they don't want to waste any time. Do you think they're rushing him?
Well, they're definitely not taking their time. I'll tell you that much, right? That much we know. 4.5 months after surgery, that's unheard of. Even your best estimates wouldn't have said that. So, his recovery is remarkable. Hats off to Brock Purdy. I hope they're not rushing him. I really do. And I hope he's not allowing himself to be rushed. Again, I think whoever starts week 1 might be at the disadvantage in this competition. And so I think it could have benefited Brock to let Trey start and come in and be the hero towards the end of the season. Now it might go the other direction. So I don't know. It feels rushed. They're definitely not taking their time. It is concerning. And it's also weird that they say he's fully cleared, but yet he still hasn't thrown at 100% yet, and he still can't play 3 practices in a row. So how are you fully cleared?
Yeah.
That's not really 100%.
What does that mean?
That's not 100%. When you could play every practice without missing and you can make every throw, then you're 100%. So it was kind of an interesting it's confusing still a little bit.
Yeah. It is. The way I look at it is they want that number 1 seed, clearly. And so they're not messing around. They want Brock back. They want him to play. That being said, if he has any setback during training camp, they're going to be responsible. It's going to be obvious. Like, this was a very aggressive, that would be the word I would use to describe this new plan. Aggressive.
4.5 months.
Aggressive with an important player at an important position and a very delicate injury. So the next thing I think is that they're not really committed to Brock long term. Like, if Brock was their franchise quarterback and they're thinking, man, this guy's 23 years old, he could be our starter until he's 35 or longer. Like, let's be careful. They're not saying that at all. They're saying you're our starter this year.
Yeah.
Get on the damn field now.
Yeah, I think John Lynch is all in on Brock. It seems like to me. I don't think Kyle's all in on anybody. He's going to just play whoever gives the best chance of win. He doesn't care what your name is. And I don't know. I think a lot of this might be Brock feeling the need to rush himself back more than the 49ers necessarily, honestly, and which surprises me because I think Brock has a good people around him. He's a smart guy. But 4.5 months is wild to me, man. Like, it really is. We're going to have to see how it plays out. But I can say this, whether they're rushing or not, I don't know. But they're definitely not taking their time like you would expect, a team to do with a franchise quarterback.
I got another way to look at this. Let's flip it.
Okay.
Is Brock rushing?
Yeah.
I think Brock is rushing. I think Brock looks at it like we just talked in the last segment. Man, I was in the right place at the right time. I'm good, but I don't know how good I really am. This team is amazing. If you put Sam Darnold behind center for a month, he might look amazing too. Same with Trey. These guys haven't played with Christian McCaffrey. Well, Darnold has, but Trey hasn't played with Christian McCaffrey. I don't want that to happen. And as long as I'm on the field, I could probably put up 30 points, less than 100%, because all I got to do is check it down to Christian McCaffrey. Want to be on the field. I don't want to get forgotten and overlooked. So for that, and plus you have Kyle sort of putting the pressure on, being like, yeah, we really like Darnold. We got him on the first day because of you. So what are you going to do, Brock?
Yeah, I don't know if Brock doubts himself. I would say he doesn't, but I will say that he is probably worried about Trey Lance taking over and never giving the keys back. So I think that's probably where the rush may come from Brock. Is he just wants to get out there. He doesn't want to give Trey an opportunity to do what he did to Trey, basically, right? Brock took over, never gave the keys back. He doesn't want Trey Lance to go in and do the same thing. And you can't blame him, because that's a possibility as well. Whoever starts week 1 could possibly stay healthy for the rest of their career and never miss another game and never give the next quarterback an opportunity. I think that's not likely, but it's a possibility. And so there's got to be that bit of pressure there for Brock.
They praised Brock today. John praised him for attacking his rehab as vigorously and as quickly as he could. Kind of saying that's the expectation. Like there's no slow playing it here. And I feel like maybe Jimmy did at times and they resented him for it.
For sure.
Maybe when they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So I think there's like this is the expectation. Like, hey man, like you need to come back as soon as physically possible. Don't get the 12-month repair or reconstruction. Like get the 6-month repair and get on the field. And it's like on the one hand, I guess I get it, but it just makes me feel like he's replaceable. Like, yeah, you're the best guy we have right now, but they're going to be free agents next year. There's going to be a draft next year. Like, we may want to go in a different direction next year, and we'll talk about that a little later. But I just feel like there's a whole bunch of implied pressure on Brock from this team, and I think he gets it, and I think he's pushing himself, kind of like RG3 did. Like I know my knee is hurt, but I got to get back out there. I got to get back out. They also like Kirk Cousins. Let me play in this playoff game. Oh, I just hurt myself again. Oh, it's worse.
Yeah.
And this is now it's career ending. So be careful, Brock.
And there's actually another angle to this that I don't know if we have as a topic, but this could also be a good thing for Sam and Trey because now it's actually more of a competition. If Brock would have sat out towards 2-3 weeks before the season started, just jumped in at that point, we wouldn't be able to compare him side by side with what Trey Lance and Sam Darnold are doing. And now we're going to be able to. The fans, the media, the coaches, the players, they're all going to be able to see, okay, how does Brock look versus how does Trey look? How does Sam look? So I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing.
Let's talk about that. Talk about that. So last year, Brock Purdy basically didn't do anything in training camp. He was a third string quarterback. So the way it works is, let's say there's like 11 on 11s. The first string, the starters, they'll get maybe 6 plays in a row, 5, 6, 7 plays in a row. Mm-hmm. And the backups will come on and they'll get 5, 6, 7 plays in a row. And then third stringers will come on, they'll get 2 or 3 plays. So he'd get 6, 8 throws a day, maybe 10. He wasn't doing much. He was playing with rookies, going against rookies. And I mean, no one was even looking at him, essentially. Like Larry was, to Larry's credit. But like most people weren't freaking looking at him. They were looking at Trey. And so now all eyes are on you, Brock. And
against the one.
You're going against the best defense in the league.
Yeah.
It didn't go well for Jimmy with this supporting cast. It didn't go well for Trey with this supporting cast. Maybe it'll go better for you. And if it does, we'll all give you credit. But this is a different test.
Yeah. And tomorrow you're going to be there. Brock won't be playing tomorrow. It'll be Trey or Sam with the ones or a combination. But then the day after, I mean, Brock's going to be out there with the ones going against the number 1 defense in the NFL. And the fans, the media, the coaches, the players, they'll be able to see, okay, how does Brock look against the ones? And coming off this injury 4.5 months later, that's a tough task. So in a way, it could be better for Trey and Sam Darnold that everyone gets to see that play out.
I think it's fair too. Like if you're going to anoint Brock and make him the starting quarterback because of what he did down the stretch on a team that was already on a winning streak, they were on a 4-game winning streak before he took over. Make him. I mean, see what he does in training camp. Like you've seen Trey, you've seen Jimmy. Is Brock really better under the same circumstances in the same setting against the same defense and those guys? Because if he's not, maybe that says something about those 8 games that you saw, because Jimmy's had great 8-game stretches too, but you judged him harshly on practice. You've judged Trey 100% based on practice. Now Brock gets a taste of that medicine. See how he stands up to it.
Yeah, and also I believe Kyle said in the press conference that preseason games are going to mean a little bit more this year than they have in the past. So that's going to be another test for Brock Purdy and Trey Lance, another opportunity for the guys that are behind Brock Purdy right now. It's a little different when you're the 7th round, what is it called? Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Now you're just starting quarterback. Now you're starting quarterback.
Yeah, now you're starting quarterback. You got 2 third overall picks, highly talented guys behind you coming for your spot. It's a whole different role, and we're going to see how Brock Purdy handles it coming off a UCL injury 4.5 months later.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Wave 9 says Vegas knows Trey is playing, hence the odds. Diego V says, should the Niners sign Zach Martin? They won't, so it's not even worth talking about. But like, if you take Burford's spot,
I think the Niners, like last year, if you look at when Gibson signed, the Niners are just kind of waiting to see what plays out, and they're going to sign somebody. They signed Gibson very late in training camp, so they're going to do that again. We'll see who it is.
I kind of like Burford and Banks. I feel like those are two ascending young offensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
I think they need a right tackle. I feel like McKivitz is a decent guard. They have one tackle on the freaking team, and he's great. Like, they could use a second tackle. That's how I feel about the 49ers.
I think the best right tackle on the team is a guy who's never played the position, John Feliciano.
Probably. Yeah. Ink Talk TV says, I don't know why the Purdy people thought he was exempt from this competition. Happy birthday, Ryan G. Happy birthday. I wish it's you, but I wanted to say it again. It's Ryan's birthday. So you guys should all pay homage. What's up, Ink Talk?
Appreciate it.
Wave 9 says, Lynch, every time Kyle mentions Trey, he hates it. Got to check it out. Lynch, every time Kyle mentions Trey. Yeah, I don't think he just doesn't like the Trey thing.
It is interesting body language. I was watching during that conference today. Yeah.
Adam says, did y'all see the interview Ayuk did with Sherm? No.
I haven't seen it yet. I want to.
I haven't seen it yet. I'll check it out. Trey Niners says they have to figure out this quarterback thing in training camp. Start Trey week 1 and 2 to see if he's the future, and then we move on. We can't stay in limbo. You always can stay in limbo. That's what limbo is. Sometimes you get stuck. But yeah, I'm with you. Mark Mick says, how can Trey lose his job to injury? He really looks worse than Brock in practice. What you see out there, Grant? Stop running Trey like RG3. Please give him the Jimmy G playbook. We'll see tomorrow. Yeah. Trey will get the first reps tomorrow. Brock will come in the day after. I have no words, says Isaiah Gill. Let me say Trey area. Mike Monahan says, Brock wants to start, but only if he earned it. Nothing given, everything earned. He's not rushing anything. He's healthy. Fair enough. Fair enough, Mike. Hey, I like Brock too. Yeah. I'm wondering about, but that's fair. I hope he is, man. I hope that's true. Darnay Harvey says, is it just me or did John seem more excited about Brock being cleared than Kyle did? I would agree.
Yeah. You watched the body language. He was definitely pumped on it. Wanted to speak a lot about Brock.
John was like, bless him. Yeah. He was like, oh, shucks. He's just the greatest kid ever. I mean, he even did this well. It's like, what can he do? And someone was like, so is he going to be getting all the first team string reps? And Kyle's like, when he's out there, he's not going to be out there all the time. Like, right? Like all of a sudden pushing the brakes. Yep. Yeah. Good stuff, Darnay. Silky Smooth Smithers says maybe Brock is being pressured by his agent. Perhaps.
I don't know if he needs to do that. I think what Brock put on film last year would last, right? Like, honestly, by going early, it can only hurt him. It really can't help him unless he just comes out and balls. But he's going to lose at some point. He's undefeated as of right now. He could have stayed that way for a few weeks and gotten himself back into the swing of things before he went out there. So I don't think his agent would have pressured him.
No, my egotistic aura says Trey's Mr. Irrelevant now. Purdy to the future. Purdy to the future. I like it. Game Time says Larry's going to have a field day, pickle and a pig. Good Larry. Good for Larry. MD 2020 says John Lynch gave 1 million people a shout out to who helped Brock recover, but has he ever gave any credit to his number 3 pick, Trey Lance, and the people that helped him get back on track? What's the deal? That's a good point. I feel like Lynch is kind of caught in the open with this one. Like, his preference is so clear, and I think Kyle's trying his best to like not do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
we agree with you, MD. Wave 9 says, Grant, do you think they will manufacture Brock looking good in camp, give him easy throws and stuff? If they try, I'll let you know. I'll give you the context. I can't wait to see what this looks like. I'm highly skeptical. This seems like a horrible idea. They went up there today and they were like, look, you know this Mr. Irrelevant from last year? He's not your ordinary human being, okay? He's an alien. He's a superhuman. He's kind of like, have you ever seen X-Men? He's an X-Men. He's a mutant. And he came back faster. And I know he looks like just a regular guy, but that's part of his disguise. And he's special. And we're like, okay, or you're rushing him. One of those two. One of the two. Alien mutant, or you're rushing him.
You think?
And everyone's like, yeah, he's mutant.
Defense makes Brock throw deep. You think that's the game plan in practice?
We'll see what Steve Wilkes does to him. How much cover one he plays. I don't know.
Interesting.
Frank Tom Ocean says, you would think Lynch would want Trey to succeed, given Lynch's track record of horrible first round.
unless that wasn't his pick. Unless that was someone else's pick.
I don't think it was his. Addie G says, did Trey have a wobble during his pro day? Maybe the broken finger affected his throw. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't there. Niners daddy says when in the presser. Why in the presser does it look like Lynch and the Niners are so sour on Lance? Didn't they trade 3 first-round picks to draft Lance? Yeah. And the thing is, like, no one questions them about it. Okay, you like Brock Purdy better and you're down on Lance. Dude, you just drafted Lance with your first-round pick 3 months ago. You did, like, he's your first-round pick this year. And if you hadn't spent if you say he sucks and he's just not, you didn't get anything for those picks. If you had spent those, you could have had Penei Sewell. You could have had Jamar Chase. You could have had a Super Bowl ring. And like one way or another, you should be held accountable for this. And it should be something that's not swept under the rug. And yet everyone that was down there today was like, it's Brock Purdy day. Like, okay, I guess let's not hold them accountable at all. Let's just cheerlead.
Yeah, I think they're trying to build up Brock Purdy as that guy. And so they're trying to downplay Trey Lance stuff in public because of that. But I don't think it's going to work, to be honest with you. I think the cream always rises to the top. And maybe Trey Lance isn't going to be the guy this year, but I don't see why he won't be good eventually. May or may not be for the 49ers. But I think they're trying to hold off something that might be inevitable, if I'm being 100% honest here.
Yep. Muweed says Brock's going to have TJ Watt coming for his head game 1. Yeah, that's the NFL, man.
That's a tough game 1 he's got ahead of him. Yeah.
Yep. I don't know, man. I feel like he's being put in a real tough situation. They're like, look, dude, we like you, but you need to get your ass on the field and play and keep up the good work. Otherwise, we're going to keep our options open. Sorry. But we like you. You're a great guy. But Kirk Cousins is going to be available next year. So Adam says the interview came out yesterday, and Sherm said that the 2019 season, Deebo's rookie year, at the end of practice, the Niners made Deebo run miles around the field wearing a trash bag to cut weight. I actually think I heard that. Yeah. I mean, I think that was a Wes Welker thing. I think that Wes Welker made him do that. Wes Welker didn't take
the pass. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it works, but I've done it.
That's intense. All right.
Yeah.
Some people have alluded to it in the chat so far, but there were no questions about Trey Lance. I asked 2. Kyle Shanahan answered both of them, and his answers were, I thought, lukewarm. First question was, did you put Trey Lance in contact with Jeff Christensen? Was that your idea, or did he find Jeff Christensen on his own? And he said, oh, that was all Trey. We're not responsible for who these quarterbacks work with in the offseason, which is weird because I thought he was responsible for having Trey work out with John Beck before the draft. So that didn't compute. So that was strange because I know that the Niners in the past have told Trey to work with certain guys and it seemed like they weren't getting results. And now Trey found his own guy and that guy's getting results. And Kyle's like, oh yeah, well, we never involved with that. Okay. That's interesting. And then the next question was, well, are you pleased with the work that Trey did with Jeff Christensen? Like, do you see a difference? And again, Kyle's like, yeah, the difference is he's healthy. Maybe his footwork a little bit, but frankly, and no disrespect to Jeff Christensen, what he said, but like, all these quarterbacks go to these coaches, like basically downplayed it big time. And the way I looked at it was Jeff Christensen is kind of an opportunist right now. I like Jeff, and he's getting very rich and famous potentially off of Kyle's blunder. He's like, oh, you can't coach Trey Lance. Oh, I can do in 45 days what you couldn't do in 2 years. Mm-hmm. And he's getting results. We all see it in the video. And Kyle's like, man, screw this guy. So I think what he did was basically take a huge public shot at Jeff Christensen, and he didn't have anything nice to say about Trey, which boggles my freaking mind. What did you think about Kyle's answers?
Well, for one, I think if I'm a head coach of the 49ers, I am going to recommend somebody for my quarterback to go work with because I'm going to care about his improvement and his development. So off top, I'm definitely going to be recommending somebody. I'm not going to be that. Go do whatever you guys want. See you next year. I'm not going to do that. For 2, it seems more like he's downplaying Jeff Christensen's work more than Trey Lance's development, right? It seems like he will, if Trey Lance does great, he doesn't want it to be Jeff Christensen who got him to that point, right? He wants it to be Kyle Shanahan and Brian Greasy who got him to that point. So I think that's more of what it was about to me. But I think it is, he definitely should be recommending he should be giving recommendations to all his players. This is what you should do in the offseason. This is who you should go see to work with. That should be part of what you do. I mean, I did it even at the high school level. After the season's over, I give evaluations for all my players, and I tell them where they should go and what they should do. Yeah. And it would be surprising if he's not doing the same thing in the pro level.
Kyle likes to think a few moves ahead because he's a play caller. I think he knew where I was going with that. So I was trying to set him up. Like, did you I know he didn't recommend Jeff Christensen. I want to get on the record. Yeah. Did you recommend Jeff Christensen? No, we don't recommend any of them. Yes, you do. And so what I was going to say is, so you like the work he did with Jeff Christensen. You recommended him work someone else before. How come you didn't think of Jeff Christensen 2 years ago? How come you wasted the first 2 years of Trey Lance's development with the wrong coaches, teaching the wrong things, and he had to figure this out on his own year 3? Because that's what I think is happening here. That's where I was trying to set him up, and he was like, no. We don't pick these coaches, and Jeff isn't that good, and Trey is all about Brock. Don't even try it. Like, all right, man, because that's the way it looks like to me. It looks like you botched the first 2 years of Trey Lance's development, sending him to the wrong coaches, getting him hurt, playing running back. Now, thanks to Jimmy Garoppolo or God knows who, Trey Lance found the right coach. Could have been coached in the last 2 years. Could have been way different.
You know what's funny? I really noticed with this fan base, with the team, with Kyle, is we're very fickle, right? Like people change their stance so quickly. All it's going to take is for Trey Lance to get an opportunity, ball out for 3 games, and the whole narrative is going to change. Kyle's going to be building up Trey, not going to talk about Brock very much. So there's a lot to be played out this season. I wouldn't buy into too much of what's going on with the Brock hype or the Trey lukewarmness. Let's see how the season plays out, because by the end of the season, for all we know, Brandon Allen could win a freaking Super Bowl or who knows, right? And everybody's narrative is going to change, just like it did last year 3 times, right? We had Trey, then we had freaking Jimmy, and then Brock, and then who knows what it's going to go like this year.
I mean, part of me felt when Josh Johnson was on the field in the NFC Championship before he fumbled the snap, part of me felt like, man, Josh Johnson's going to be the guy who wins the Super Bowl this year. It's going to be that year, isn't it? But it wasn't. But I almost thought that.
Kyle said that today on that Kawakami thing, that he still thought they were going to win the game when Josh went out there.
Well, he did keep calling plays like he thought there was no difference. I mean, it was a very aggressive play calling after that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't like Kyle's answers about Trey. Maybe it was just because I was asking the questions. Maybe you need Tim Kawakami to ask the questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
I would love to hear a one-on-one with Grant and Kyle Shanahan like Tim got. That would be nice.
I think he actually would give me one. I should reach out.
You should do that.
I should. Who will the Niners starting quarterback be in 2024? It's Brock Purdy now, but I don't necessarily know that means it'll be Brock Purdy. Then Kirk Cousins will be available. I mean, all kind of quarterbacks could be available. People in the draft. What do you think? What are the odds that Brock Purdy's starting week 1 next year?
I mean, if I'm being real, I don't think it's going to be Brock. I think it'll – honestly, man, here's what I think. If we're just putting it all out here, I think Trey has the highest ceiling. I've been said that. I think at some point this season, he's going to get an opportunity to play, and he's going to capitalize on it. And I think Trey Lance will be the quarterback next year. Yeah. That's how I feel.
That'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting if Brock Purdy starts the season, plays well, gets injured, Trey comes in, plays well, maybe even better. Who knows? And, takes him into the playoffs, maybe wins. Who knows? Do they pick up that 5th-year option? Like, what do they do? That'd be very interesting.
They might do that Jordan Love situation, right, where they kind of renegotiate like they did with Jordan Love, made it a little bit team-friendly because they don't have a big enough sample size to give them that true 5th-year option. So I could see that happening for Trey Lance. I don't think Brock's going anywhere regardless because I think for Brock's salary, he's probably the best quarterback you're going to get at that salary. So I think Brock's going to be here through the length of his contract regardless. But if I had to predict, I think the cream always rises to the top, and I think that's Trey Lance. So I think he will get an opportunity based on history, and I think he's going to at some point surpass what Brock Purdy is able to do. I think he's going to wow people at some point. I just believe that.
I think Kirk Cousins is going to be the starting quarterback of the 49ers in 2024.
I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't. I watched that quarterback.
I think that's what's going to happen.
I think right now, based on what we've seen for Brock Purdy and Trey Lance, right now, Kirk Cousins is the best quarterback the 49ers would have had since at least Jeff Garcia, probably Steve Young. I think the 49ers could have won a Super Bowl in 2019 with Kirk Cousins. I would not be mad at all if Kirk Cousins is our quarterback next year. Unless Trey, I think that's phenomenal. then I would.
But I just don't feel like they're putting Trey, like Brock and Trey are in a tough position. Brock's had no offseason. They're rushing him back out. Like, hey, have a training camp. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not fully recovered yet. Yeah, you are. We're fully cleared. Okay, thanks. And then Trey, they're like, hey, you know all those reps you thought you were going to get this offseason? Forget them. They're gone. Like, okay, like I don't really feel like they're putting anyone in a position to put their best foot forward. And if things go the way they've been going, where there's injury after injury after injury, and Kirk Cousins has another 9-8 season where he plays all 17 games.
Yeah.
They're bringing Kirk next year.
Dude,
Kirk.
Kyle Shanahan literally said today, let me get the quote. He literally said today that he is, where's it at? I still don't know what the right answer is. These are Kyle Shanahan's
Brandon Allen. It's Brandon Allen.
Today. He doesn't know. So, like,
I'll tell him.
He's telling you, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I should start Brock Purdy. I don't know if I should start Trey Lance. I don't know if I should sign Kirk Cousins next year. He doesn't know. It's who the hell knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Kyle doesn't.
I don't think he. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. We the Faithful says, watching the press conference, a little interesting. They wanted Deebo and Camp to negotiate his contract, but it's okay for Bosa to not be in the building and negotiate. Little too much favoritism, in my opinion. I didn't really put that together. I think they felt like they had more leverage over Deebo. They want everyone in the building, but Bosa's doing what he can get away with. Bosa's the defense. I mean, Lynch said it today. Like, you'd think having such a great player would make it more simple, but not always. Like, the Niners like to win contract negotiations. You don't beat Bosa. You just give him the most that you can.
Yeah. Isn't this what happened with the Deebo, though? It's essentially the only difference is Deebo was requesting a trade throughout the process. But, I feel like Monday it'll all be worked out and he'll be there. Like, I don't think this is going to be a long-term issue when it comes to Nick Bosa. I would be surprised. Yeah. And also,
I don't think,
if I'm Nick Bosa, I'm not practicing until you pay me. So I don't blame either one. Yeah.
I think it's in the organization's. Well, we'll talk about Bosa in a minute. Drewish guy says, if Kyle Shanahan starts Brock Purdy, do you think he could finally win the rushing title this year? Who, Brock?
What?
The Niners? Kyle? I don't know. Yeah. Maxime LaFlame says, but Grant, if you hold them accountable for the Trey situation, how are you supposed to get a one-on-one podcast interview after that? That's the thing. Like, I don't want to owe them anything. I like being impartial. But I feel like at this point, like, Kyle knows me and would understand that I'm not going to change because he gave me an interview and we could do it. But I don't know. I should talk to him. I think now's the time. Yeah. Obi-Wan, $5. Thank you. Mark says, first drive of the game, you think they blocked TJ Watt with the 5th tight end? Please stop, Kyle, in the Cartman voice. Cap. Let Trey cook while Brock heals. He's fully cleared. What are you talking about? 18 Wheels of Steel says, NFL stands for not for long. I want to see how people view Brock when he starts losing. Just a matter of time. Jimmy was undefeated also until he wasn't. That's the thing. Like, Jimmy and Brock don't have these great skill sets, so it's all about the wins. Once the wins dry up, it's like, oh, he's just.
This is the time of year where I'm most optimistic about the 49ers, and I am very optimistic. But this year's schedule, if you take into consideration the travel, they're facing like 4 teams coming off their bye week. This is going to be – they could be a better 49ers team and lose more games this year. And, in fact, that's kind of what I anticipate happens.
Yep. I can see that. Ink Talk TV says, Trey comes in, never turns back, early wins, and never gets hurt, and we see a big arm in big games and shocks the world watch. You must have a lot of faith in Colt McKivitz. I don't know. Obi-Wan Riziki says, how many Super Bowls will Mahomes Reed have by the time Kyle's Super Bowl window closes?
I'm waiting for it to open. I know that sounds crazy, but until you have a quarterback, it's not open. And so maybe that'll happen this year. Maybe one of these guys will emerge as that guy. But I don't even know if it's open yet, to be honest. It's closing for guys like Trent Williams. But is it really open until you have your quarterback position nailed down? I'm not sure.
I don't know. Jewish guy says it's not flashy, but will you keep an eye on Poe, Fisher, and report on it? Yeah, I'm definitely very focused on the offensive line. I'm going to do my best to look at that. Jewish guy, because Kyle, because he rushes players back. He does rush players back. There's a habit of that. Did it with Jimmy. Adam, any chance they trade Mitchell before the season? And if so, what could they get in return? It's possible. They traded like Jeff Wilson under the 4th, maybe. What do they get for Wilson? A 5th? Is it worth it? Would you rather have a 4th? I would just keep Mitchell. Don't make yourself better. Don't make yourself worse this year so you can be better next year. Win the fucking Super Bowl this year. How about that?
I think what you need to watch is TDP and LeBourne. That's going to be the battle, I think. Yeah.
And do they even need 4 tailbacks? I mean, you're going to give all the carries to Christian. Stop lying like you're going to use a freaking rotation. You know you're not. You're going to give all the carries to Christian McCaffrey until he physically can't do it anymore. So what do you need 4 tailbacks for?
That's true. Yeah.
Keep another tight end. Keep another wide receiver. Yeah. All right. Nick Bosa holding out, not even in town. Kind of a big middle finger to the Niners, like, give me my money.
F you.
F you. Oh. Yeah. You want to negotiate? F you, pay me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it goes when you win the Defensive Player of the Year and you're a Bosa. Should the Niners be concerned? Should fans be concerned? Or is Bosa just flexing a little bit before this works out?
I mean, what are they going to do? Not sign him? Like, they're going to do it. So it's just they're working out the kinks. I honestly, like I said, I think Monday on the 31st, this will all be done. And he'll be out there on the practice. I'm not worried about it. I don't think the 49ers are. I think they're just, fine-tuning the details. They know what they got to pay him. So I think it's just, hammering out the contract, probably on a lot of the little things more than anything.
Sorry. It was spam. It was a robo-caller. Yeah, no, I don't think – yeah. I feel like it was almost kind of like desperation from the Niners today being like, we don't want to talk about this publicly, but it's almost like, I mean, fans be upset that Nick Bosa isn't here. Like, no one's going to be mad at Nick Bosa for not being here. They're getting mad at you for not getting this done. Everyone's like, you had 7 months to get this done. You know what the numbers are going to be. You know he's not going to settle for less. Get it done. I think the pressure's on them. They're trying to put it on him, but the pressure's on them.
If there's one guy I'm not worried about being at practice, it's Nick Bosa. Like, the guy's always in phenomenal shape. I have no concerns about Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa can show up a week before a game start, and I'll be cool with it. Like, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah. All right. Here's the other info. Deebo Samuel apparently back in shape. Mm-hmm. Kyle Shanahan. Well, Deebo talked about it. Yeah. I talked about it last year and said this dude's overweight. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to talk about it during the time. No one admitted it then, but now he was like, yeah, I was overweight and I was trash. Kyle's like, he wasn't trash. He just wasn't one of the best players in the league. But now he sends me all kind of shirtless pictures and I'm impressed, was what he said, like sort of kind of. So apparently Deebo's back.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm excited, man. I posted about it yesterday. To me, he looks like he's in phenomenal shape. I can't really remember what he looked like, 2 years ago necessarily, but I can say he looks way better than he did last year. And so I'm excited. I mean, I'm actually really optimistic. It's the time of year where I get really optimistic, and that's how I feel right now. And part of the reason is because the way you see Deebo, like Brandon Ayuk is in a contract year. We know how Brandon Ayuk is going to come out. And now you see Deebo taking accountability and getting in shape coming into the season. He looks great, man. And if Deebo is the same guy from 2 years ago and we got Brandon Ayuk who is reaching his peak, the 49ers wide receivers could be better than ever this year. So I'm very optimistic. He looked great. I think your quality control is definitely working when it comes to Deebo.
I'm not done with Deebo.
Okay.
Like, you've had some good reviews. You look like you're in shape, but that ain't enough. Because I feel like Deebo gets this status as being one of the best athletes in the world. And I think he's demonstrated that he can be, but I don't think he is, because I think he was for 1 year. And in 2021, he was one of the best athletes in the world, regardless of sport. But that was 1 year of his life. I'd like to see him do it again. And you're in shape now. Like, it's a marathon, baby. You're just getting started. What are you going to do this year, man? I know you can. We all know you can. But as far as I'm concerned, you're a guy who's actually done it once. Mm-hmm. Let's see if you can go for 2.
Yeah. I mean, I think.
Would I bet on him to go for 2 this year? I don't know. Maybe.
I think statistically it's going to be hard to repeat that year that he had in 2021. But I think he could play like the Deebo we saw in 2021. I think it's especially going to be statistically hard, not just because it was kind of like an anomaly season for the guy, but now you got CMC as a factor. You got Brandon Ayuk emerging as a factor. So it's going to be harder for him to get those statistical numbers, but I think he's going to be in great shape, and he's hungry. He's hungry again. Even after getting paid, I feel like he's hungry again because he kind of soured his reputation. So I'm actually I'm positive right now on Deebo Samuel.
Maybe I'm biased because Deebo Samuel blocked me on Twitter and basically doesn't answer my questions, and Brandon Ayuk does answer my questions. And I happened to go out to dinner with his mom in Green Bay before the playoff game a couple years ago because we happened to be staying at the same hotel, and she's a really nice lady, and I feel like I know their family, and I just really admire Brandon Ayuk because he punched Fred Warner in the face during practice and stood up for the whole. I just really admire Brandon. I feel like he's put up with a bunch of Kyle's crap and said nothing about it. And so it's like Deebo's like King David from the. I'm a big Old Testament guy. Like King David did so many morally questionable things, and God was just like, I love this guy. He's the greatest. He's the king of my. He's fucking great. And like that's deep. Like meanwhile, Ayuk is like Moses, and he's like does so much for God, and God's like, if you freaking look at me like that again, I'm not letting you go in the prom. Like I don't know what it is, but Ayuk looks at Kyle a certain way or doesn't block a certain way on a certain play, and it's like, all right, well, we're not calling your number again until next week. Whereas Deebo has one great year, and they talk about him like he's Bo Jackson or something. Like I don't know. It seems to me like Brandon is a much more consistent pro than Deebo, who might be more gifted, but he's also, I don't know. That bugs me.
I think as a
Deebo
coach,
isn't held accountable. No one holds him accountable. He holds himself accountable.
So I think as a coach, I've seen situations like this where, like, from the outside in, it looks like you're treating guys different. And it's because you are. Yeah. But sometimes it's because that's what it requires for that personality, right? Yeah. Brandon Ayuk don't give a shit, right? I don't know. Did you see? I love Brandon Ayuk. Did you see what he said on his Instagram story? He said, no. I don't know. They're red. Yeah. If you're wearing a white jersey, it's F you. Talking about the defense. Yeah, he posted that on Instagram. Then Diamador Lenore came back, said, we're not worried about y'all or something like that. So I love Brandon Ayuk, man. He's probably one of my favorite players on offense, if not my favorite player on the offense. But yeah, they're different personalities, right? You can treat Brandon Ayuk a certain way and get results. Then you kind of have to like baby Deebo a little bit with his personality.
I think so. They give Brandon all kind of tough love that Deebo does not get. With Brandon, it's like, man, he's come a long way. Like, in what way specifically? Oh, we don't want to talk about it. But, boy, he's done so much maturing. Whereas Deebo, he's just perfect. And, yeah, he's about 10 pounds overweight sometimes. But when he's not, wow. Like, okay. If I were Brandon, I'd be pissed, man. Like, what? I'm always in the greatest shape. And you never call my number.
It's different personalities require different, like the way you deal with them, the way you motivate them. I think, Deebo's that kind of guy. You need to like be complimentary of him and encourage him and not be too confrontational, where Brandon Ayuk is the kind of player who I like coaching, where you just tell him straight up, call him out, and he'll respond, So I think that's what it mostly is.
Adam says, any chance they trade mid? Nope. Obi-Wan Raziki says, what week will Darnold start? You know he will.
I hope that's not the case. I don't know. I mean, hey, Sam Darnold might play better than ever for the 49ers. I'm going to root for him if he's out there. He should play better than ever for the 49ers in this offense with these weapons. I just hope he doesn't play. I hope it's either Brock or Trey all year.
I don't think he's going to start this year. He might come in relief. Would you trade Bosa or Hunter for Hunter and Cousins?
Hunter and Cousins.
Danielle Hunter.
No, Cousins. No, I would trade him for
35, man. No,
I would trade him for Herbert. Did you see that money that Herbert just got paid today?
No,
like $256 million contract for Justin Herbert today.
Nice.
So that concerns me a little bit. I trade him for one of the top 5 guys, but I don't know about Cousins.
Sirs 11 says we better win the Super Bowl. I bet 2,500 on us. Kissing goodbye, and it's gone. And it's gone.
That's a lot of loot, man. That's a lot of loot. I hope we win.
Official BNA Music 88 says they can't run the media guilt trip tactics like leaking numbers or framing Bosa as selfish like usual. They knew since year 1 he was going to caught. That's a good point. They can't run the media guilt trip tactics like leaking numbers or framing Bosa as selfish like usual. Yeah, why can't they do that, Official BNA Music? What is it about Bosa that makes the media not be able to target him like that? Why?
Yeah.
Why? That's true. Brian says, I know it's a year from now, but with all these huge contracts, who's getting traded next year? Deebo, if he doesn't fulfill all the promise that he's hope and expectations.
I think Deebo is a lot. There's a big possibility he gets traded if Brandon Ayuk balls out and Deebo doesn't repeat his performance from 2 years ago, you could see Deebo being traded.
Could be Kittle, could be Armstead. Those guys are getting older.
Yeah.
Mark says Brock Purdy stats, quarterback ratings, play action pass 130, first in the NFL, in rhythm passing 130 in the NFL, first in the NFL, passer rating with pre-snap shifts 118, first in the NFL, passing outside the numbers 112, first in the NFL. Those are very impressive stats.
I can give you 5 that he's in the bottom, Mark. So I mean, I understand that he has some good statistics there, but he also has some bad ones. So, you can post the good ones if you just want to focus on that. That's fine. But there is more context than just these particular stats that you pulled out.
Hold on. Let me get his split stats real quick because there's one more. He mentioned the play action passing, which is important. Like, he is a very good play action passer. He can roll him left. You can roll him right. You can do a lot with him. But what's about non-play action? Non-play action last year, he was worse. I mean, his quarterback rating, what would they say? Well, he has different numbers because I'm looking at Pro Football Reference. He has him at 115 quarterback rating, play action. I'd like to know, what was his quarterback? If it was 130 with play action, without play action, it must have been like 90 something. I'm getting the feeling that as a straight shotgun drop back passer, maybe Jimmy's better than Brock.
That's what I've been saying.
That's what I would say.
If there's a like a quick route first read, if your quick first read is open, Jimmy's better. He's more accurate. He's going to get it out quicker. If it's not open, then I lean towards Brock.
Yeah. Papa Phil says, I looked at every game last year. Deebo was not bad at all. He rushed himself back from injury. He is the only player that can score anytime he touches the ball. He's a true talent. Thanks, Papa Phil. I like when people say I looked at every game last year. We all did. We all watched them. We all did. But I like that you were encouraged. Yeah. Deebo disagrees. Deebo WB Studio says one player will be traded next year because Niners can't pay everyone. I think it'll be Deebo or Kittle. Yeah, I feel like if you keep Ayuk and you have McCaffrey, then either Deebo or Kittle is going to be the fourth option on a run-first team, and it's not going to be Deebo. So, yeah, Kittle. I don't know. It could be Kittle.
I hope that's not the blocker used to do. I hope it's not Ayuk. That would be – if we lose Ayuk, I don't know who – I mean, we better have a replacement because there's nobody else right now on the team that can do what Ayuk does.
The coach with the extended biblical metaphor. If Deebo is David, then BA is Saul, who forced David into hiding because he thought he wasn't worthy of his throne. Thank you, coach. Thank you. I had to take it to Moses and stuff. But yeah, I mean, David was his favorite son. David did some questionable stuff. Took that lady's wife. He took that lady's wife, put him on the front line of the battle. I was like, hey, good luck, buddy. Oh, you're dead? Oh, she's my wife now. Yeah, look it up. He did that, David. I forget the lady's name. Mark. Yeah. People talk about that. Mark says maybe Ayuk needs to send some more shirtless pics to Kyle like Deebo does.
Wow.
Had to be said. Kyle, you walk right into it. Mark says Jimmy passes on first read or he gets intercepted. Okay, well, let's see. It'll be interesting. Like, who has a better year this year, Jimmy or Brock? Who stays healthy? It'll be interesting. They're both going to be playing.
Oh, I'm going to be watching a lot of Raiders football this year to see Jimmy play. Yeah.
Mike Drops with Monza says dead cap hit on Deebo is too high. Niners are estimated under the cap. Only players with low or no dead money will be moved. Juice, Armstead, Greenlaw, GK.
He just dropped the mic. Monza just dropped the mic. Yeah.
Watch Armstead. Yeah, he did. Did you hear BA on the Richard Sherman pod? Haven't yet, Jewish guy. Didn't you ask me that? Someone did. Last topic, then we got to bounce. This was interesting. Talanoa Hufanga is sort of like the new spokesman of the secondary. Jimmy Ward's gone. Not to say that he's the best player in the secondary, although he might be. He's all pro. And they brought him out first among the defensive players today, which kind of, I think, indicates. So anyway, he was talking about Jair Brown, who apparently had a bunch of interceptions in OTAs when the media wasn't around. And he was asked, Talanoa, like, what sticks out to you about Jair Brown? And he said something that caught my attention. He said he's really rangy, very rangy, which I wouldn't have thought. He ran a 4.65, but then I looked, he ran a 4.58 at his pro day.
Yeah.
And there are some very famous ball hawking center fielder free safeties that ran a 4.58. And I looked it up. Ed Reed ran a 4.58, almost the same exact build, about 5'11", 200 pounds. I'm not saying this dude's Ed Reed, but just listening to Talanoa Hufanga talk about him and sort of doing my own research, I think this guy's going to start like right away and be a big freaking addition to this team. Jair Brown.
Yeah, man. After we drafted him, I honestly don't follow a lot of college football. I'm too busy to do that. But after we drafted him, I went back and watched his tape, And that's my immediate thought was this guy's going to be a 49er for the next 10 years. He's a franchise type player. And that is one of the rookies, probably the only rookie besides Mooney, who actually has this chance to start. I think it might be tough to beat out Gibson, but if he's really a ball hawk like that, they're not going to keep him off the field. And I think part of it is Wilkes was involved with the drafting of Jair Brown. He's not involved with bringing Gibson in. So if he says something in Brown that he likes, would not surprise me if he's a week one starter.
It just like Talanoa is an all-pro. Talanoa is a really good player. And he was talking about Jair Brown, who's never played a game in the NFL, with admiration. Like, this guy's got range. This guy's good. And you got to remember, I'm sure the Niners had a higher draft grade on Brown than Hufanga. They like Hufanga. They made him they had a package of plays. They had starting games as a rookie. They had starting as a second year. But like Brown, they traded up for Brown on day 2. So if he's good, I like, thank you to Sean Gibson, but this is the future and the present. He's starting. And when people talk about, like, I want to see what Drake Jackson does this year. Yeah, I want to see what Drake Jackson does this year. But I think this guy is going to be the new addition to the defense that's like a big impact player. Jair. They call him Tig.
Tig. It's good to know.
Tig.
Yeah. I would not be surprised, man. I honestly, I know that you and I are critical of the 49ers when we see a reason to be. Right now, it's very early. It's the end of July, right? So right now, my optimism is through the roof. And there's a lot of reason to be very optimistic about this team. I could easily see this defense being better than last year. I could see the offense being better than last year. It's just about whether Brock or Trey is going to emerge as a real top type quarterback, and is Colton McKivitz going to be able to do his thing over there? If those questions can be answered positively, Niners could have a really good season. And with the schedule, with the travel, they may have a worse record, but all they got to do is make the playoffs and get hot at the right time. And this tough schedule might actually prepare them better for the postseason this coming year. So I'm optimistic, and guys like Tig Brown are part of the reason.
Absolutely. I don't know. I think Talanoa is a very interesting person.
I love
just
him.
Listening to him. I like him a lot. He's a typical DB. Like he'll kill you on the field. But in the interview room, he's like got this great charming smile, and he smiles with his eyes, and he faces you, and he's very like calm and quiet and agreeable, but he'll kill you. I love DBs so much.
It's that Polynesian, man. I got a ton of relatives that are Polynesian. They're like teddy bears, man. But they will break you in half if they have to, So yeah, man. I love Huff. Yeah, he's awesome, man. He's gonna be a leader on this team. I think him and Brown could.
I think he is right now.
Yeah,
it feels like the leaders in the defense, frankly, are him and Warner. Like Bosa's the best player in the team, but he's not a leader. He's not here. He doesn't live out here. He doesn't come out here. He doesn't want to be a leader. They make him a captain. He's like, do I have to do a speech? Like, no, you're the best player, and everyone wants you on the team. But the leaders in the defense are Hufanga and Warner. Those are the two.
Yeah, and Bosa by his play.
Yeah, just because everyone respects him, and if he ever actually felt like saying something, they would listen. But that's not him.
Yeah, unless they want entertainment. Sometimes they ask him to talk for the entertainment value. Yeah.
I think the best part about last year was Steph Sanchez doing the Bosa impression. Like, that's you, Bo. That's you. Yeah. That's exactly what you sound like. Maybe you should switch it up.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's elite.
Jewish guy says, yep. Mark Salas says, Ryan, show me Purdy's bottom stats. Pause.
Show me. What do you want me to do? You want me to type them up on my computer and...
You got the stats. Mark, official BNA Music 88 says God favored King David's spreadsheets. Yeah. Sean says, is the front office manipulating the pup list just in case BP has a setback? If so, he can't go back on pup, correct?
I thought pup was different now. They can do that throughout, right?
Yeah, you can go back. As long as he's not on pup when the season starts, you can go on pup and come off pup whenever during the training camp.
Yeah.
G-Code Travels Blog POV says, third round comp for Jimmy. How will the Niners use it? Draft a running back.
Or a kicker. One of the two.
Yeah. Tight end, backup tight end. Danny Gray.
Yeah. Danny Gray.
Nope. Two more. Mike Drops with Monster says, eyes on Poe, Clea Davis, Feliciano. Got you. Niners Rule says, just got here, and I don't know if Flav is here, another 20 to skip his super chats. He's not here. Papa Phil says in the playoffs next year, our O-line will be tested again. What changed? It got worse. The guards may have improved just based on time. But I don't know. Everyone's like, oh, you're not giving Colton McKivitz a chance. I've seen Colton McKivitz play. What are you talking about? We've seen this.
Yeah, I mean, the problem was the right tackle. I think Burford, you can expect him to be better. Banks, you can expect to be better. Brendel, you can expect to be the same. I think Feliciano's a good backup. Trent Williams, we'll see, probably the same. But yeah, I mean, it's just McKivitz and the quarterback. Those are the big questions coming into the season.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. That's the show. I appreciate all the super chats. Stop giving me money. Stop watching. It's over. It was just the beginning today. It was like a prelude to the beginning. It was the preface in the book that you don't really read, but you kind of do because there's going to be information from Kyle in there. But apparently more information came out in the one-on-one. Who knows these days? There's going to be actual football tomorrow. There's going to be a competition. It's going to be fun.
Can't
Ryan,
wait.
are you going to be out there any days?
Sunday and Monday. I'll be there Sunday and Monday. Yeah, I'm
That's
looking
what's
forward to it, man.
That's what's up. Well, we'll do a show on Monday because you'll be there. It'll be fun. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you later. I'm doing a show at 7:00 tonight with some Seahawks bloggers.
Is it the guy Jesse was with last night?
I don't know. I should be promoting it, but I don't even know them that well.
Is his name Brandon?
They're great. Huh?
Is his name Brandon?
I don't think so. I think it's Brian.
Okay.
I don't know.
Jesse did one last night, and the guy was great, but it was like a 4-hour stream.
I'm not giving him 4 hours. Tops.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks, everyone.